Hi guys, from this month's BBC Good Food magazine I made this dish of mussels with chorizo, beans and Cavolo Nero, and while there is a little chopping involved, the whole thing can be rustled up in minutes and it's so delicious. So start off with some shallots. The recipe requires 2, but since these are really small I'm using 5. So just peel them first and then chop them finely. I'm slicing them thinly first and then running over them back and forth with a sharp knife, weighing down the tip. When they're all finely chopped, go ahead and add them to a bowl and set them aside until later. Now take 2 cloves of garlic and do the exact same thing. Peel them first and then chop them really finely before you add them to the bowl with the shallots. You can add them into the shallots here because these will all be added to the pan at the same time. Next you'll need some cooking chorizo, 100 grams of it, which is about one of these fat sausages. Cooking chorizo isn't like the cured salami, which can be eaten raw. This needs to be cooked, but has a nicer, softer texture. But if you can't get your hands on it, just use the regular salami chorizo. Now, the recipe says to remove the skin of the sausage, but that's not totally necessary. This skin is completely edible, but I do what I'm told, so I'm peeling it away. Now, the recipe says to just chop up the chorizo, but I would chop it up really finely here. I'm kind of aiming so that each piece of chorizo could sit comfortably inside the opened mussels. So maybe aim for about the size of the beans that will be added later. Then add them all to the shallots and garlic because these will all be added to the pot at the same time. Next, I washed my board and knife because I'm using cooking chorizo, but if you were using the salami stuff, then there's no need to do that. There'll be no contamination there at all. I'm going to pour my wine now so that when I add it to the pot later, it'll be room temperature because I'm using enamelled cast iron, and adding fridge cold liquids to enamelled cast iron when they've already heated up can actually damage the surface of them. You'll need about 150 millilitres of white wine for this. Next, take 100 grams of Cavolo Nero. This is such a delicious hearty green vegetable, so good. And just remove the woody stem. To do this, I just fold the leaves in half in on themselves. Make it easy to just remove the stems in one slice. You can leave the top part because that part generally isn't so tough. Once they're all done and the stems are discarded, go ahead and really finely slice them up. The recipe says to shred them, but I think finely slicing them is kind of the same thing. This Cavolo Nero is also really healthy, but it can be hard to find, so it might be labelled as Tuscan kale. Once it's all chopped, set it aside until later, and you kind of want it to be this fine consistency so that it's finely chopped enough to disperse itself throughout the stew. Now take a large pot and heat about a tablespoon of olive oil over a high heat. Once it's hot, go ahead and add the shallots, garlic and chorizo and stir fry for about 5 minutes or until the shallots are nice and softened. Stir them up again before adding the Cavolo Nero and stir fry for another 2 minutes. Add the wine and allow that to cook down for another minute. Then drain and rinse 1 can of these cannellini beans before adding them and mixing them through. Next, add 500 grams of mussels and stir to coat them in the sauce. Mussels are really healthy, delicious and easy to cook too, but you do need to be a little bit careful of them to make sure you don't get food poisoning, but don't worry, I go into more detail in that and how to cook mussels safely over on my blog post on rookiecook.org, so check that out. I should point out as well that this recipe is actually only for 2 people, because if you're going to be cooking mussels at home, you really need to keep the numbers down. If you're cooking for 6 people, you'd need a massive pot to cook them in. So once they're all coated, just clamp the lid on and cook them for about 4 minutes. Just remember to shake up the pot every so often to help release the mussels' juices into the sauce. So once they're done, I'd ladle them out into bowls and make sure you add loads of the cooking sauce to the bottom of the pot as well. Then scatter over some freshly chopped parsley and give a good squeeze of lemon. This is optional, but I'd serve it with some crusty white bread. A baguette would be perfect so that you can mop up all the sauces at the end. I think a good tip for eating mussels is to remove the first one with a fork and then to use the remaining empty shell as a kind of a pincers to pinch out the rest of the mussels from their shells. This really was so good and such a handy, easy weekday dinner. I can't recommend it enough. Thanks a million for watching, guys. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. You can check me out on social media as well if you like. You'll find all the links to my accounts in the description, as well as the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.rookiecook.org.